Assalamu alaikum, my name is Fedi. I'm going to show you how to handle every single objection that I've had in sales calls. This is all the objections that I know how to handle from reading books, and all of this is from over 300 sales calls, over 6,000 cold calls, and alhamdulillah, over reading around 15 books on sales. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Literally just have a notebook out, get ready to understand how to handle every objections. Keep this video safe and save it for later. That way you can always come back to it and find how to handle the objections that maybe you keep falling for, right? And by the way, if you're wanting to understand how to handle the I need to think about it objection, it's all the way at the end so I can keep you for the algorithm. But basically, let's just jump right into it. How to handle all the objections. So the first one is it's too expensive. It costs too much. How so? Right? Costs too much. How so? Now, they will either give you another objection or they'll continue with the same objection, and this is how you respond. So let's just say it costs too much. Okay, should we crunch some numbers to see if this makes sense? And then you can circle back to the close. So one of my students, Nair, absolute legend, he loves doing this. Like if anyone tells him that it's too expensive, he pulls out the calculator and just does some maths. Very, very powerful, because if you can show them that it is literally cheaper, technically cheaper for them to move forward with you because they'll make money from it, especially if you have a guarantee in place, then there is no risk for them, and therefore they will make the money back. When people say it's too expensive, it's not because they have no money to make, like, it's not because they have no money to move forward. It's oftentimes that they don't see the work, like they don't see the value in the product, in bringing back their money and giving them that ROI. And another response could be, okay, well, what made you decide to look at us in the first place? And they'll tell you the positives on why they like you, right? Maybe it's the way that you outreach to them. Maybe it was your offer that was really, really unique. Then you'll ask, great, and what else? And this will make them sell themselves onto the product. Okay. You'd say, now can you see why we charge more? You were to buy cheap, you'd get cheap. The whole point of this, by the way, is to get them to sell onto you. It's getting them to sell themselves to you. And the reason for that is, especially if you have kind of a unique way for them to join the call. And I'm thinking this, for example, if it was more so an inbound lead, right? If it was inbound, this is going to be super, super easy for you to handle this objection, because you ask them, you're like, oh, well, why did you want to jump on the call with us? Like, what motivates you to look at our product? If it's outbound, like if you got it from you reaching out, then you can ask them about the offer. Like, did the offer intrigue you? Okay. Another response, we had two choices when we priced this. Go as cheap as possible, sell this to as many people as we can, cutting back on costs, not allowing us to give value, or we charge a little bit extra, which means we can concentrate more resources, time, and incentivize our team to work harder to ensure your success. That's it. You just leave it at that. And they'll continue speaking. Okay. You can also say, you're absolutely right. Our prices are too high. Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think we're so expensive? Or simply just offer a payment plan. Okay. In this one, right, you're absolutely right. Our prices are too high. Why do you think that is? What they'll end up doing is justifying why you're a lot more expensive. Maybe it's your offer, like I said, maybe it's your guarantee that you have in place, whatever it is. Or again, Habibi, just offer a simple payment plan, right? Break it down for them even more. Can I ask you, do you see the value in this? If this does half of what I say it can do, would it even be worth considering? This is especially when it's a value objection. Hopefully they say yes, right? If they say no, then they're not going to buy from you anyways. Then what's really holding us back from moving forward? So after you understand, if they see this being worth it, then you tell them what's really holding us back from moving forward. And then you'll get the actual objection, not the price. Okay, I don't want to pay anything up front. I used to get this loads, so much. It used to really, really annoy me. A lot of my friends in the real estate niche used to get this one as well, because people don't really want to pay up front. They don't see why it's worth it. But it's very simple for you to actually handle, okay? And you'll often get this again if people don't fully trust you, but if they don't see why they need to pay up front. Yeah, of course. I mean, I've had this requested before. However, there's two things you need to take into consideration. One, if I give it to you for free, you're not going to value it or value me and my team. And when you get free stuff, there's no real commitment from your end, and you're less incentivized to make it work. Let me fix that spelling issue. That is very embarrassing. There you go. You're less incentivized to make it work. The reason I'm asking for money now is so that you have the skin in the game and are dedicated to making it work. And two, I want to be able to dedicate myself and my team to helping you. My team obviously need to be paid and incentivized in helping you to make sure you're successful. And I want to do all of that. And I can make sure that it works for you. Besides, when it does work, you get to keep that money then without us taking anything from the back end. So we don't take anything from your revenue. Does that sound fair? So you're basically just explaining to them, and it's a bit wordy for you to say this, so I would memorize this one. But you generally have to give them a genuine reason why they're paying you up front. Some of you might not actually need to be paid that much up front. Maybe you're just paying for go high level, and that's it. That's the only kind of thing that you have. You don't even have a team to pay. That's okay. You can tell them. You can tell them, like, I'm happy to bring down the upfront cost and then just go on a pay-per-performance basis. So you have kind of, just when you're starting out, right, you have nothing to pay for other than go high level, for example. Just pay for go high level. Get them to pay for your go high level subscription, and then do the rest on a performance basis. That's it, right? You don't have to be paid up front necessarily. It's not in our budget. This one you guys might not hear very often. I only heard a couple times when I was selling something that was a bit more expensive. It's around £5,000 per month. Okay, that's fine. when do you think you would have the budget for it? They'll then give you a time frame. So you have to sell the time difference itself. By this point, you should know how much a sale is worth for them, or the LTV of their customers, right? The lifetime value of their customers. So on average, we bring you an extra X amount of clients. I'm just going to say 10 for an example, okay? I'm going to say a client for them is worth £2,000. So on average, we bring you an extra 10 clients, which would translate to £20,000 per month. So this would create the budget and give you the return so that you can continue investing. What do you say? Very, very simple, by the way. I don't think it will work. Now, this one is going to be a big one on trust. Like, you have to genuinely understand if this is a done for you service and they say, I don't think it will work, they just don't trust you. There's no objection to overcome about someone not liking or someone not trusting you. It's not that I would necessarily give up on this. I would just genuinely ask them, like, why do you not think it will work with me? Like, I'm completely new to the game, John. I appreciate you letting me know that you don't think it will work. Do you mind just being honest with me and telling me what kind of red flags popped up that made you not think this could work? Just be transparent with them. Like, there's nothing else I could give you in terms of advice for that. If they say, I don't think it will work, and it's a done for you service, then you're the issue because it's done for you. If it's a do it yourself and they say, I don't think it will work, then it's a them problem. We can kind of come into the middle. Okay, so there's still a way for you to handle this objection. You're right, it won't work. Obviously here you're disrupting their pattern, right? This presumes that they think it won't work because of them more than anything, as I mentioned. If they think it won't work because of you, then that's a trust issue. Trust issues are hard to fix unless you decide to be fully open, which I'm going to go to detail at the end after I show you how to handle the objections. It won't work if we don't put the work in together. If you don't give us feedback, if you don't follow our steps, and if you have a negative attitude from the get-go. But obviously, if you're paying for something, you'd make sure it works, right? Hopefully they say yes, right? They'll give you a response. So then you just go for the close, right? If they say yes, I'll make it work. Perfect. Just go for the close, right? I need to speak to my partner. As I said, like, if they say no, if they're still adamant it won't work, then like I said, that's a trust issue. And if you want to know how to handle trust issues, you can use the example I gave, or I'll tell you exactly what I used to do, which actually helped me close clients. So yeah, I need to speak to my partner. Oh, I hate this one. There are literally 10 different ways to handle this objection. And I recommend always using the first two and then using the others based off of context. Okay. Note, all of them do work. They just might not be exactly what you should be saying. Some responses will be better suited than others. There's loads of different responses to saying this. You can reschedule and book a call together. You can arm your prospect for them to go convince their partner to hop on board. There's so many ways to do this, right? Okay, no problem. Completely understand why this would be something that you need to speak to your partner about. How long have you guys been together? You could ask, how long have you guys been together? How long have you been with your partner? Great. Well, let me ask you, if your partner said yes, would you move forward with this? They will most likely say yes, hopefully. If they say no, then that's another issue. Fantastic. And if your partner were to say no, would you still move forward? They'll then say either yes or no. And if they say yes, then you will say, okay, great. Do you know you want to do it? And either way, no matter what your partner says, you'll still do it. Now, I'm going to ask you one more question. You've been with your partner for, and this is where you use answer from the question earlier, I'm just going to say 6 months, right? You've been with your partner for 6 months. Do they trust you to make the right business decision? I imagine they do. Otherwise, they would have ditched the partnership by now. And then they'll more likely say yes. Awesome. So he or she trusts you, trusts that you know what you're doing and you clearly want to do this and know it's right. So let's go ahead and do it. That's it. Otherwise, if they say no and the decision does have to be made with a partner, then offer a reschedule. If they insist on not taking a call with all three of you, then see if they want to move forward with this by saying that you can hold their position with the exclusive pricing for 24 hours. And if they say they need any info that their partner might want to know, just give them that information. Okay. So about the 24-hour thing, basically you should be using incentive-based pricing. And what that means is you incentivize people to make a decision on the call. For example, you could say, usually our setup fee is £2,000, but if you make a decision on this call, I'll be happily moving it down to £500. You could tell them, look, John, I can hold that incentive-based pricing. I can hold that £500. I can hold that £1,500, I can hold that £1,500 reduction if you can make a decision in the next 24 hours. Do you think it's realistic that you and your partner can make a decision by then? And that's it. Like you understand whether or not they're interested in moving forward. If they say no, just know they're not interested. Like, just full stop. You can just leave the call there. But to uncover the hidden objection, you can say, because sometimes this is a hidden objection. Okay, perfect. That's completely fair. Is there anything you specifically wanted to speak to your partner about? This will open up the conversation to be about their concerns and you can offer a solution. Also to uncover the hidden objection in a different way, you could say, okay, sounds good. Can I ask you a question? What do you think your partner will say? And this not only gives you the opportunity to arm the prospect with a way to handle their partner's objections if they decide to go speak to them, but oftentimes it's their own objections too. And if they say that they think their partner will say yes, right? If they say, oh no, I think my partner will say yes, to be honest, then you go forward and say, okay, great. If you think that they'll say yes, do you think they'll be mad if we move forward today? If they say yes, then say this. Okay, completely fair. Nothing worse than an angry partner. In that case, when are you both free for a conversation between all of us? And if they say no, you just go for the close, right? No, my partner won't be mad. Perfect. Let's move forward today, John. If they're adamant on you not jumping on the call with the partner, then frame it in a way where you are going to answer all their questions. Like you are doing them a favor rather than them doing you a favor. You could say something like, yeah, awesome, John. Look, I understand you're both incredibly busy, but I feel like your partner's going to want to have specific questions when having a conversation with us. Like, do you not think it'd be best for all of us to sit down together? It will only take 15 minutes just to understand what your main concerns are. That's it, right? I need to think about it. The dreaded, I need to think about it. How do we handle this bloody objection? Okay, that's fair enough. If you don't mind me asking, what exactly is it that you need to think about? This is the classic way of doing it. By the way, this is the most simple objection ever. I hate it, but it's really simple. This should reveal their objection. But if they repeat it again, then you can say this. That's totally understandable. Most of our customers need time to think it through. What would you need to think over? Is it the price, the terms, the start dates, the implementation, or are you not too sure what you've heard from us? And that's it. Like, are you not too sure about what I've explained today? That's literally it. Like, if they don't tell you what the objection is, give them what the objection could be. Like, the I need to think about it is just an objection. It's a smokescreen objection, right? That it's not an actual objection. It's just a smokescreen behind another objection. And if they bring up any other objection, you know how to handle them. You have all these ways of handling the other objections, right? So you're chilling. Now, I did want to make a point about the trust objection. This is the objection where they simply just don't trust you. And a lot of objections can actually be cured beforehand. Now, I'm going to give you 2 tips because this is obviously how to handle objections. The 2 tips I'd give you is the best way to handle an objection is have it covered beforehand. So what that means is when you're pitching or when you're telling them your offer, you handle the objections. Guarantees, adding some level of scarcity, adding some level of kind of trust baseline, like you tell them how you do things slightly. You keep it high level, but you tell them how things work. They will trust you more. Most importantly, if you want them to trust you, you have to be empathetic. If you haven't watched my video on trust, you can go watch that now, but you have to be empathetic towards them. Because with you not being empathetic, with you not understanding them, they can't trust you. If they think it's all about you and not about them, they won't trust you and they won't move forward. You always want to make sure that what you're doing is tailoring to them. And a lot of the time, if you're a beginner, people won't trust you because you don't have any proof. You don't have any testimonials. You've never done this before. So it's okay for you not to have that initial trust. But honesty is going to make them trust you. One of the rules for power is for you to kind of not degrade yourself, but it's for you to be honest about very specific things. So be honest with them so that they become trusting of you. Maybe you tell them, look, I'll be honest with you, John. I've only started my agency 6 months ago and I haven't managed to get any clients. I was really stoked to have this sales call with you. I completely understand if you don't want to entrust your business with someone like me. I get that. But I can promise you that I'll be staying up until 2, 3 in the morning because this is what I want to do. This is how I haven't given up yet because I know I want to do this to make sure that the campaigns are going right. I will pay for consultations with other people so that I can understand what I'm doing wrong working with you. I will take on all the risk with you. I don't want to let you take on all the risk because it's already a risk working with me. That's why I have such a hard guarantee and it'll be written on the contract. That way, even if you don't trust my word, that's okay. That's the contract supporting you. But I promise you, I want to make this work. You fail, I fail. And if my first client fails, I don't know how I'm going to live with myself. Just be honest with them, right? You want to have as much conviction in your honesty as possible, because if you don't have conviction in your service, that's okay, brother. At the start, you might not do. You do want to have conviction in yourself. You have to trust yourself. You have to have confidence that you will do what it takes to make them succeed. And if you're not doing what it takes, then brother, it's a learning experience. Don't be disheartened just because your first client ends up being an absolute failure. My first client, things didn't end up going too well. I'll be honest with you guys, but I still had clients afterwards and it did work. So you just have to remember that this will be your biggest step in understanding how to handle objections. It's building trust with the prospect while the call is going on. Not while the objection handling is going on, but while you're building the call. That's you listening actively. That's you understanding their concerns, because a lot of the time their objections are obvious. The way they answer your questions, they're going to give you an objection. That's why you always stand firm and be honest with them, be empathetic, try and understand them. And then when you handle the objections this way that I've just shown you, 9 times out of 10, you'll be chilling. You'll go for the close afterwards. And if you're curious, by the way, as a little tip for the closing motion, I learned this from Santino, absolute legend. My closing kind of sentence is just saying, cool, I guess the next question is, when would you like to get started? That's it, right? Or I guess the magic question is, when would you like to get started? That's it. Very, very simple. Well, Jazakallah khair, Habibi. I hope you've learned about how to handle objections today. If you have, I'm very, very happy for you. That's amazing. There is this video, as I told you, about building trust with your customer, with your client, with your prospect, and you should go watch that video so you actually understand in depth how trust is built. Otherwise, I have a whole sales course in the community. Habibi, If you're a Muslim entrepreneur and you're wanting to get closer to Allah, that's our top priority. If you want to make more money, that's our second priority. If you want to be the best version of you in terms of health, that's our third priority. Feel free to join Akhi. There's a link in the description for that. If you don't, no biggie, no worries at all. But inshallah, I get to see you soon. Jazakallah al khair, and God bless you.